So all of you out there, good morning, everyone. Yesterday we had an amazing 103 participants, so I'm really looking forward to all of you again today. Let's see if we can target the same number with another day of interesting topics related to dedicated spaces for children, children's films and film education, and with the second round of wonderful speakers. For today, there will be again two moderators. So my dear colleague Susanne Schmidt from Creative Europe Media Desk Berlin, Brandenburg, Germany, and myself from Croatia. We would start with the chat room number 1, and the title is The Importance of Different Educational Approaches. So I would like to announce my dear speakers, Irena Lovčanin, so she is teacher, docent of language in Montessori education, Montessori School Zagreb in Croatia. Cathrine Jakobsen, Senior Arts Advisor for Film within Kulturtanken Arts for Young Audiences and from Norway. Welcome. And finally, we would welcome Maya Reichart, Head of DokEducation. It's important also to include documentaries in terms of the film education. She's also head of DokEducation, International Documentary Film Festival, DocFest Munich in Germany. And we also have Jasmin Topalušić, art psychotherapist from Croatia, but at the moment living in the UK. So I would also like to welcome Anne is here with us again from Kids Radio. And would not take much of your time, so we immediately dive in the first chat room. Today we're gonna last a bit longer than yesterday, so I hope that you listen to my advice and you prepared 3 C's: coffee, chocolate, and cookies, whatever you have. Why I decided to include this particular panel, it's a kind of mix of different educational approaches, because I noticed by following different workshops and film educational activities that sometimes they're a bit seen only one way, and it's important that we also include different educational approaches as aspects, because not all kids are the same, and especially during these COVID-19 times, it's quite challenging to approach them, because many of them are feeling anxious and having serious problems in terms of anxiety. So for this reason, I also introduce art therapy, which can be quite useful when it comes to film education and education in general. But let us first start. Yes, housekeeping rules. So this session is recorded. I would like you to be active after, in terms of asking the questions through the chat room. Of course, there is a bit different moderation when it comes to the chat room, because I would like each of you to really present your projects and to explain to the audiences which is not acquainted with your programs and what you do. And then we will follow it up with questions. Of course, I'm here to guide you if you lose a track of time, and if I see that some detailed explanation is needed along the way. So I would like to welcome our first speaker. She's actually a dear friend of mine, Irena Lovčanin. Irena, can you see us, hear us?
Yes, I can see you, I can hear you. Can you see and hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. So, hello to everybody, good morning. I will start now with my presentation. My name is Irena. I am a teacher, and I teach children and Since last few years, I started to teach adults in Montessori education for teachers. I don't know how many of you know about Maria Montessori or Montessori method, and I will try to explain it to you in the best possible way. It's a bit hard, but I think I will manage. So I'm very happy to be here in this conference, and thank you, Martina, for the invitation. And this is a perfect time to speak about Montessori, because 2020 is a year to celebrate the 150th birthday of Maria Montessori and her amazing legacy of Montessori education. I will share a little presentation now. Martina, is it visible?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So I cannot speak about Montessori method and not to say a few words about amazing woman Maria Montessori. So she is one of the most known names in history of education and one of the most important people in modern pedagogy. Pioneering scientist and educator. She was one of the first women doctors in Italy, and during her life she inspired a lot of people with her universal approach to the development of a child. During her life, she was attending technical school. She graduated medicine. She studied science, anthropology, philosophy, pedagogy. She was working in various hospitals, collaborating with a lot of doctors and scientists. And later on, she was traveling a lot, speaking a lot, teaching other children's internationally. And what is very, very important, she was advocating for women's and children's rights. So during her life, everything what she did was pretty amazing, and she was 3 times nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. So in one word, amazing. In developing Montessori method, Maria Montessori didn't follow anybody's educational theories. What she did 110 years ago, it was pretty new and special. And based on a scientific observation of children, how they behave, how they learn, how they communicate, how they develop, she developed one of the most important educational methods in history of education. She was talented with this special feeling of purpose for a human child, and deeply preoccupied with human being, really aware that every being has a purpose in harmony in universe, and this is something basic in this method. So she strongly believed that children, or humans, when born, they have a secret plan inside, a secret plan of development, and this plan is guided by inner wisdom, and education needs to support that. So everybody working with children need to support this natural potential that children have. So the goal of this method or education is to develop all this that child has, this all natural potentials, and only when those natural potentials are developed, child can become adult who is creative and self-confident and satisfied, responsible, and aware of world around him. So this method is based on a child, and everything that we do, we need to to see in a child. And the curriculum and some other goals later on, and everything we do, we need to be really aware of the child and, of course, children if it's a group. So she had deep faith in children and their supported self-development, and she strongly believed that we can make peace in the world by educating and make a fundamental development and change of mankind. So this photo is very, very old and shows Casa dei Bambini, or Kinder's house. And you can see a lot of children working with a lot of materials. And very special is that they're not doing the same thing, all of them. So nothing much changed now since times, but we will talk about it later. So this photograph represents a classroom in my school, and it's very important to say of key principles. I didn't put all of them, but I put most important. So in this conference, we are talking about dedicated spaces for children. So in 1907, Maria Montessori knew what it means to create a dedicated space. She calls it prepared environment. So prepared environment is a place which is designed to facilitate maximum independent learning and exploration by the child. It means that everything in this place is made to be for children. So all the shelves are very low. So everything that is here, children can take it. Of course, this prepared environment is, of course, prepared by a teacher. Teacher really must be educated, and teacher is some kind of bridge between this environment and children. So as Maria Montessori observed children, we also need to do that and prepare everything what is necessary for their development. So of course this environment needs to be inviting for learning, and the atmosphere should be prepared beautifully and with simplicity. Of course, everything needs to be done in a way that evokes peace and tranquility and order. So the learning environment should also be clean, well-maintained, uncluttered, and very, very important in this times made out of natural materials and respecting nature. So this photograph shows one part of the classroom, which is a classroom for cosmic education, but for music and arts. You can see here on this photograph on little carpets and on the big carpet, and of course on the shelves, Montessori didactical materials, which are there is a set of original Montessori materials which Maria Montessori developed, and of course every teacher needs to create and develop materials for his own children. So these materials should, of course, we call them a key to the world. They're necessary for children to learn. They all include movement and all senses. So we all know that when we are moving and when we are doing something and when we have all our senses in it, the learning is better. Of course, when we do something, it stays in the body. This prepared environment and materials and everything that is inside should be in correlation with, we call it in Montessori, sensitive periods. So these are periods in child's life when children or child is learning something with ease. He doesn't need to put any kind of effort. So very important for the teacher is to recognize that and offer materials and activities and whatever to support that. Very important concept in our school is free choice. Our main part of the day when we are learning, it's called free work, and it's important to know that not every child is interested in the same lesson or the same material. So based on a plan that every teacher makes with a child can choose what he wants to do. He can choose a company and a place of work, duration, and whatever he needs, he can, of course, choose it. As I said that this method is based on a child, of course there is an individual approach, and every teacher makes a plan for every child. So if I have 20 children in my class, so it means I have to make 20 different kinds of plans, because of course they're not the same, and they're all at a different stage of development. So even if they're the same age group, they have their own needs, and we try to address that. When a child is working, it's very important not to interrupt that work. When we see that he is into something, we need to let him be. And in that time is happening something magical. And Maria Montessori calls this mind polarization, which means deep concentration, and that's the place where learning is happening. So if a child wants to do something for a longer period of time, we need to address that. Even if he wants to do the same thing every day, we need to address and support that. So here you can see a child working with the material, and you cannot see it now, but he was doing this all day. He was very, very into that, and that was very, very nice to see. As the world outside is not made in the same age groups, so we are trying to address that also. So of course we have activities which we do in the same age groups, because it's some topic that it's very special for the same age group. But very important key principle is mixed age group. So younger children can learn from older ones, and older ones can help them. And very nice thing in the classroom is that, yes, of course, I am the teacher and I'm doing a lot of things, but every one of them can be a teacher. And sometimes they are my teacher also. So I like that. I like when they know something that I don't, and so they can teach me. So it's very nice. So here you can see a group of kids from 1st to 4th grade. They were working on flags, but helping each other. Maybe somebody was doing something on his own, but this is special to see how we can learn from each other and how we can support each other.
We'll need to kind of short.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just a few minutes. So even we are following the program of ministry, but we have main areas in our school, which are cosmic education, language, mathematics, and children's house. And it means that we correlate this areas, and when we are learning something, we are learning it from every aspect that we can. So This was Martina after one activity after film watching. So,
okay.
Yes, these are some special moments. I'm at the end of the presentation. We like art and we like music, and we like to celebrate special days. And sometimes we come to school in pajamas with blankets and pillows, and we celebrate reading. So in this second image, we spent all days in pajama and sharing books. So during this lockdown, we couldn't do it. So I made it online in my little tent. And when times are difficult, there are corners in school where you can have a nap and rest a bit. So this is one boy who was sleeping all day because he was really tired. And the last picture, my favorite one is how can we be creative and a bit crazy and supportive, and how can we share? And yes, to end this short presentation, this is my favorite quote, and this is something that's in my heart. So what really makes a teacher is love for the human child, for it is love that transforms the social duty of the educator into the higher consciousness of a mission. So teachers are more than teachers. So
wonderful.
Thank you. There should be one slide more, but I don't know why it's not. Okay, it's thank you. It's thank you slide.
I will just clap like this.
Yes, it's very difficult to put in 10 minutes something that is around 110 years, and
despite that fact, even being around so long, unfortunately, it's not that well known around Europe. And for this reason, I invited you because we could really combine different methods and can be very helpful in approaching when it comes to the film education.
Yes, yes.
So this was the say. Yeah. Thank you so much, Irena.
Thank you for listening.
We shall move on. I would like to invite Cathrine. She is going to present a cultural Schoolbag on behalf of Kulturtanken. We do have something similar in Croatia, but I bet your initiative has been in existence for some time, and you do have something to really share with us. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martina, and thank you so much for inviting me to this conference. As you said, I will talk about the program, the national program called the Cultural Schoolbag. So I'll share the screen with you and see if I can show you my presentation. I will talk to you about the Cultural Schoolbag. It's a national program, kind of unique to Norway, I think, or no. It's been on since 2001. I will tell you a little bit about the program, how it works, and then I will move on to talk about film in particular. So, first of all, what is the Cultural Schoolbag? It's a national program designed to ensure that all school pupils in Norway experience professional art and culture of all kinds as part of their education. The program is a collaboration between the Ministry of Culture and the Ministry of Education. So 3 to 4 times a year, in average, all school classes are visited by professional artists and cultural workers, performing or presenting arts and culture of different kinds. It could be literature, music, visual arts, performing arts, film, and cultural heritage. The Cultural Schoolbag hires about 3,000 artists and performers and presenters of art and education, and presenters and art educators. And the explicit political aim of this program is to provide all children with shared frame of reference and joint experiences, irrespective of where they live, what school they go to, their parents' income, or their social or cultural background. So, and securing local relevance and ownership. The Cultural Schoolbag is programmed and organized by local administrations representing the counties and municipalities in Norway. The state agency, it's called Kulturtanken Arts for Young Audiences, that's my employer, holds the national responsibility for the Cultural Schoolbag program, closely collaborating with county councils, municipalities, schools, and cultural institutions. And so, how is it funded? The Cultural Schoolbag receives lottery funding from profits earned by the National Lottery in Norway. It's called Norsk Tipping. Counties and municipalities also provide extra funding to the local Schoolbag. So that's some of the topics, how it's organized and how it works. It's a complicated system, but I don't think I have time to go more into the details on that. But I will look more into how it works with the film. So looking at film in particular, how does the presentation of film and film activities in the Cultural Schoolbag look like? So there are film-related events that can take many forms. The most common ones are film screenings with a film professional who presents the film and the genre, critical projects regarding film, language and media culture, or film workshops where students participate and learn about film production. I have some statistics, some numbers that shows you, it goes more into detail of the activities related to film. This is the statistics from 2019. So you can see that 29% of all the activities involving film in the Cultural Schoolbag are workshops. 22% of feature film screenings. They are most often followed by talks and discussions with the students. 18% are documentary films, short films 13%, film lecture 10%, and there are 6% of the screenings are animation. There are also computer games in the Cultural Schoolbag. So now, who is the presenter of the film activity? It could be the film producer, the director, the actor, or script writer, or film critic. The presenter should be a professional, anyone with a special qualification for addressing the film's theme within a context or with a different kind of expertise on film as an art form. At this picture, you see a professional of special effects.
I was just wondering. Okay.
And so workshops. During a film workshop, students are invited to learn about and participate in the creation of film. Under professional guidance, the students learn about the different possibilities for filming or animation, script working, editing, or anything that will teach them how the film language would work. And so where is the film activity taking place? The session could be held in a classroom, in the school assembly hall, or in the local cinema. As a result, the number of students that participate in these film activities may vary from a group of 20 to 30 pupils to several hundred. So this was just to make a short overall presentation of the Cultural Schoolbag, and I think I will leave it by this for now. And if you have any questions about the program, how it works, or anything from my presentation, so don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you, Cathrine. I also give you the clap sign like this. Thank you so much. So I would like now to invite Maya Reichart. She is focusing on documentaries and DokEducation. So Maya, tell us something about what you do.
First of all, thank you very much to you and to Creative Europe for the wonderful organization of this conference. We are very happy to be a part of it. So I think here in Germany, the call for measures to digitize our schools has become many times louder due to the corona-related changes. So here, public funding programs are being now offered for equipment, for teaching, and also for stronger internet. But I think spaces for film or film literacy and media competence must be thought beyond these points, because which media runs on these mobile devices? It's moving image media almost everywhere, so to say, film. And the success story of DokEducation, the education program from Munich, shows that film, or more precisely, the documentary film, is proving to be the art form of the hour, especially in times of COVID-19. And this is what I have my presentation for. So I try to share it with you. Can you see?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the film, I think, has become the basis of modern communication, and especially children and young people often use digital devices to produce a wide variety of video formats, and they publish it on online platforms. And at the same time, film continues to play a central role as a historically developed art form. So it's still very popular, whether it's in the cinema or video on demand or on television. And this is why I think understanding how to read this art form becomes a key competence for a mature reception. So I brought some pictures from the last year. I hope you can see everything. DokEducation is the year-round educational program of Germany's largest documentary film festival, the DokFest Munich, and all the projects of DokEducation combine media literacy and the cultural education, in which the artistically narrative documentary is always in the center. Because I think these kind of documentaries, they tell real stories with cinematic images. So this is a fact a lot of teachers and students do not think about, because they think like it's a documentary, you film what you see, and what you see is what you get, and this is reality. But this is not the way it is. So we have a lot of different workshops and teacher trainings and everything, as you can see here. But the heart of our program is the School for the Art of Seeing. So here you can see a class waiting to be let in for the cinema. And here you can see the kids in the cinema. So this is what we normally do. And I love when the kids are coming and saying, oh, I thought we're going to see a real film, like not a documentary film. And in the end, after our 90 minutes program, they're going to raise their hand and they are asking, where can we see more of these kind of films? So this is what we are aiming to. And there you can see how great the documentaries are working. Here you can talk with the director in our program. And the program encourages the children and the young people to observe closely and to see the art in filmmaking. So they can see the different levels, so the different levels of truth and reality in the cinematic storytelling. So this is our aim, what we are going for. Here you can see some more. I think the documentary as an emotional experience is usually easy to understand to children and young people, but film language is very complex and its effects are not always explaining itself. So if they can get a deeper understanding of the invisible editing and the consciously set music or the dramaturgy that you can do in the editing, then you can experience the artwork in film much better. So you're learning how are images and sound used to bring a certain atmosphere in this film to us. And does documentary have a dramaturgical design? And is it allowed that documentary do these kind of things? So this is what we are going for. Here you can see the workshops, you can see the kids moving around. So we also do some kind of teacher training, because I think it's very important that the teachers also know more about film when they talk with the kids. In DokEducation, we have the youth film competition, and we also do like digital lessons and political lessons for them. But then comes Corona. So this January, the program booklet was already printed for May this year, and then it became clear, like in mid-March, that this school program of DokEducation could not take place in the cinemas. So you can imagine how we all felt during that time. But the team reacted quickly and developed 3 one-hour online seminars, so 3 of these, for 3 different age groups. And the aim was to replace the regular attendance seminars. So what we did, here you can see it, the taping, and the rest of the office was totally clear because everybody had to work on the remote offices at home. And with these video seminars, we based on our long time experience in film mediation, we did these video seminars in a kind of flipped classroom model, so to replace it. In all these 3 online seminars, the participants experience, first of all, a short general introduction into documentary film genre, and then they're going to see an age-appropriate short film, documentary, of course. And here you can see our choice for last May. The students watch the curated films and they learn in the moderated part of the video how these documentary films are made and how they work. And for this purpose, we choose always international short documentaries that tell about the world of young people at an eye level and with a very high artistic standard. This is how we curate our program. And what I think is very important is that the identification with the protagonist and with the stories of the protagonist is an important element in film education for the organic absorption of the learning content. Because if you can feel the protagonist, you can easily take the media competence and the film education learning with you because you're so fascinated by the protagonist. Here you can see the films that have worked with metaphors. So teachers love to have the kids seeing films which you can explain the dramaturgy in a very understandable way. And the kids are very happy to watch cool documentaries, not boring teaching films, or what I think the 90-minute films that you have in the cinema a lot of times do not fit. At least they don't fit in the 90 minutes lesson in German schools. As you see, 90-minute lesson and the film is 90 minutes, so you can't talk about it. A lot of times I have children, they can't even watch a film until the end, which is a pity, I think. So what were our challenges of going online? First of all, due to the lockdown, it was not only going online, but also having to work and organize everything from at home, because our whole festival team had to work at home. And as we love to use international films, we have to translate it, because our students should concentrate on the pictures and on the visual task that we give them. So they shouldn't be reading subtitles instead of having the film. So what we did, here you can see it, we translated and recorded the translation in our home offices and created a voiceover by ourselves to put it under the film. So here you can see the room of my assistants and how they helped me to do the voiceover, which is quite a lot of work if you don't do it in a professional studio. Then what we also had is like short guessing tasks to encourage the active thinking during the video seminar. So they are not just sitting and consuming. Here's the question, I translate it for you. How many shooting days is the question here? And when they guess like 7, 15 or 30 days, then you can give the answer. And with the answer of this little game, we can explain a lot about how difficult artistic filmmaking is, because they don't think about that. Then in the video interview with the filmmakers, the workshop leader, in this case it's me, one of the seminar, we ask questions, and we ask them like on behalf of the audience, because we know what the kids want to know and what we want them to know. And during this interview, they realize how many director decisions are in a documentary film, because they never think about it. They know this for the fiction films, but they don't know it for the documentary films. They think it's the way it is, which is not. So we could keep our sponsors, and big thank you to them. And what we also provide is a prepared school material, which we do ourselves because we know how we want it to be. And this gives the teacher the opportunity to follow up in the classroom later, or like in Corona times, they have been sending some of these pages as a homework to the students. So the students did interviews at home, they write letters to the filmmaker and stuff like that. The students could watch these video seminars time independently from at home. So we opened up the Vimeo channel, and there they could watch it whenever they wanted, which is something special while being online. And it was a huge success. So over 300 teachers requested the seminar for their classes. And by the end of the festival in May, almost 3,000 pupils had seen it. So this is more than we were able to achieve with the classroom events. So we are quite happy with this. And something special is that not only the pupils from Munich, the classes from Munich can come, it was all over Germany that people could ask and request these video seminars. And so was the whole festival, because maybe you know the whole festival was going online. Like it was called the DocFest at Home edition last year. So let's see what it is next May. Just a short glimpse on the other educational program with film that we did online, because we gained a lot of experience. So we had also the camera workshop for young people, which is quite interactive, and we had prepared little films. They had tasks they could send in their little films they made, so it was the whole day practice workshop with the camera. We had teacher trainings here. We had the youth film competition, which was online via YouTube, which is normally in the cinema, so a lot more people could watch it than they could in the cinema. And yeah, this is it. So this was our experience. And in the end, like I can say, what we missed was the personal encounters between school classes and the filmmakers. I would say this is the most important. And of course, we feel like confirmed that the darkness of the cinema changes the reception of films. So it's an important factor in film education. And we can name the difference also in the direct interaction, because digital prepared lessons can never react and touch as individually as the personal conversation. But, and this is what I have to say, we had extremely positive feedback from teachers and students. So this makes clear that it was recognized as a high quality education, and it was very, very popular. And I'm happy to have this feedback. So we have to think about how this is going on. And my opinion is that the digital ways of film education will never be able to replace the present cinema. And we don't want to, of course, but they certainly can make a valuable addition to the film education. So I'm very happy that we had this experience, and we think about how we can learn from this and go on, but we also want to keep our workshops in cinema, of course. So this is what I have to say. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm happy to ask you questions if there are any by mail, or I think we don't have time now. So I really congratulate you on your success story, and especially since I chose you to show us how we can do it with documentaries, because there were some questions yesterday from the audience. What about documentaries? What about the creative documentaries? And they can definitely contribute to the film education, and this is how you do it. So clap, clap. Yeah, thank you so much. Now we come to Jasmin. Jasmin, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
So Jasmin is going to give us an overview. How can we do it when it comes to art therapy? Because we are aware that, and what Irena already underlined, that every child is a unique child. And I was always approached by teachers from elementary school, and later on at university, when I was given the first Montessori book, saying that I always see things differently in the class and in my own creative way. Sometimes it was not in the old system acceptable as a good and positive thing, but this is what we strive to do when it comes to different educational methods. So I hope that you can explain us how we can do it with art therapy.
Okay, I hope I can make some justice today. I just want to say that the importance of dedicated spaces for young children and adults in terms of art therapy, just listening to everyone, I'm just thinking about that it's about relationships with facilitators and teachers and with each other. So I prepared a little presentation about art therapy, so I hope it can kind of fit into this conference in a way that we could maybe take something from it. So, okay, I'm going to start my little presentation. I've got a little text written, so I might sound a little bit stiff, but I kind of need this so I don't waffle too much. So, okay, is my screen shared?
Yes, perfect. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm Jasmin and I'm from Croatia. I moved to UK in '95, where I also trained as an art psychotherapist. This is me with my little mate from North London, and I'm only using him for my logo for this presentation. So my background is in performance art, devised theatre and visual arts. Many art therapists have a background in the arts or are practicing artists themselves, which means that they understand the power of art, how to activate the creative processes, and what arts can do. I'm trained as a British art psychotherapist. Around the world, art therapy practice is regulated to different degrees, and in Britain, the training is intense and quite exhaustive. You need to complete 400 hours of clinical practice, and throughout the training, you need to be in personal therapy yourself, because you learn through experiencing it as both as a practitioner and as a client. Our therapists are state regulated by the Health and Care Professions Council, and you must be registered with them to practice legally. So after this thorough training, as you can see, my hair color changed in a mysterious way.
Yeah.
So as a trained art therapist, you must fully attend to what your clients express and be able to explore it with them and eventually help them to transcend it into a more functional way of being. In classical art, we would be reflecting on something about ourselves, such as our status or perceptions, and our relationship with the outside world. In art therapy, we are exploring something about our inner world of thoughts and feelings, what we have been unable to express. It's all about expressing oneself through the enactment of images and words. It's about creating autonomy and independent thinking. As we all know, art has power and it can make you think and feel. It affects us on many levels, from the social and political to spiritual and personal identities. The aim of art therapy is to learn and to feel better in yourself, to achieve better relationships, and to relieve stress and suffering. Many clients who have been referred for art therapy are people who are described as hard to reach, and often find verbal therapy too direct and intimidating. The art materials became a tool for communication, and through image making, people can express and explore feelings that are at times confusing and difficult to communicate verbally. So this is places to me. So art therapy provides a therapeutic space where all emotion is accepted through the power of collective or individual art making. It is a space that is confidential and where people are listened to and respected. Art therapists are employed in many different settings in the state or independent sectors. Some art therapists also work in private practice. I will show you a few of the places where I have worked or I'm still working. This photo shows a space in a deprived area of London. A school offered us the use of their library, which was the smallest I have ever seen, and also doubled as a storage area with no windows. I worked with 2 groups of 6 children. It's not an ideal space, but we used our time here as best we could and had some great experiences. This is a residential house for young women recovering from addiction. I called this table my office, and I was very happy when the organization supplied us with all these art materials and this room with windows. We met here every week at the same time for a year. This art studio is in a church and is a unique therapeutic space for asylum seekers and refugees, where we provide a safe space for some of the most dispossessed members of our society. So I have put together a selection of images created by children and adults who have experienced illnesses, traumas, and many challenges in life. I deliberately chose some images that are deeply expressive, informed by being formless, full of anxiety and urgency, or messy and hard to contain, or metaphorical, like an overflowing cup, or symbolically folded, wet, and left behind, or like sealed volcano, or fragile and hurt. Some of them are trying to contain themselves, or feeling like an alien outsider, or finding words. Making art can be a profound way of connecting with one's experiences and make visible things that can be difficult to put into words. All these images or objects are an expression of the parts within ourselves in search of acceptance, recognition, and meaning. After each session, I keep all the images in a folder for each client and carefully store them in a safe space. If images are harder to store, I will find a way to do so, to show validation and the highest regard and respect for each client's way of being and expression. In our last session, I showed the client all the work that has been created during the sessions, and the client can decide what to keep, throw away, or leave behind with me. Images help people express something of themselves that is unconscious and bringing into conscious awareness things that have been buried or forgotten, eventually helping them find the language to describe it. Art therapy is the experience of oneself through creativity that help us get in touch with who we are. And I'm going to finish with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Am I allowed to share? Those images were mostly from your work with the refugees, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you got the consent to share with us. So
yes, it's really.
We are very grateful.
Images. Yeah.
Yeah. So we came. Thank you so much. And I'm missing this reaction. Clap, clap, clap. We came to the end of the first chat room. Before I checked, is there any question from the audience? For this, you can use a chat room. Just to make sure. If not, there is a question for Cathrine from Scott Donaldson. Cathrine, please, could you tell us what the national cost of the cultural Schoolbag was and roughly what additional funding the local authorities provide on average?
Yeah, the national, so this will be in Norwegian kroners. I didn't translate, so maybe, I don't know if it makes sense, but let me see. So 280 million Norwegian kroners. Sorry,
even by saying so sounds a lot. Yeah.
That's the public fund or the national lottery money, and then about the same amount is provided by the local municipalities, and so the local public funding is just as big as the national lottery money, if it makes sense.
Yeah, people are suggesting to use the Google. So whoever is in the audience, if you can help us calculate, please do so. Kaisa from Finland said that it's 260,000 euros.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what I said. Even when you said 280 million Norwegian crowns, it sounded really wow.
Multiple by 10, yeah.
It's quite a lot, and of course that it gives you somehow freedom to organize and to really work with the quality material as well. So sometimes the lack of financing does influence on how you provide different programs. So you are very lucky in Norway. Yeah. Maya wanted to add something, or would you? I saw your finger, so I thought. I know. Okay. You are silent. Okay. No, somebody's saying, I let people calculate this. So it's 280 million Norwegian crowns. You do calculate it, how much this is. Does anyone else have a question from the audience? Basically what I'm trying to do, what I wanted to introduce with this panel is that sometimes, as I mentioned at the beginning, we are not working closely with each other, and I think that film education can easily be combined with different methods when approaching a child. So Irena, I'm just curious, how come you decided to be educated as a Montessori teacher, and what is your experience when combining two, Montessori and film education together?
It was, I knew that I was going to be a teacher since I was 7, and I finished university for being a teacher, and then I decided that I'm not going to be a teacher because I don't like the system and I don't like how it works. But I applied for a student job, and it led me to Montessori school. So it had to be like that. So that was my first meeting with Montessori school and this method and education. So I was working there as a student, but when I graduated, I stayed. I was very lucky to have a good professor at university who was teaching film and media education. And even though I wasn't such a film fan in my childhood, but somehow he made it magical and special. After graduating, I continued going to workshops and studying about film. And as I'm very interested in art and music, and whatever I do, I combine it with art and music. And when I graduated and started to work, it was really natural to put film in. So I spent a lot of time searching for the right film or animated, and what Maya was talking about, these documentaries, I find it fantastic. This is something great, because I still haven't found a good documentary so I could show to my kids. I'm maybe using some little parts of some documentaries I can find, but it is really, really difficult. So I really try a lot and spend a
I just see Maya all the time. And so now, again, she's pointing. Is it okay? Or you want to say
for real? If you want, I can give you some documentary names, because we use short films, and this is perfect for school lessons. And we have for different age groups. We have, since we are up since 2013, and every year it's 3 films we choose. So I have a quite wide range to give you some ideas which might. So maybe we exchange, and this is
yes. I will send all of you, and also in the audience, whoever is interested in getting in touch with you, I will send the contacts by your consent, of course. That's why, on purpose, I wanted to introduce difference, because we are so stereotyped. You know, we are using those stereotypes, which is in a good way, fiction and animation, but documentaries sometimes are left behind, and they are our connection with the real world. Yes. And like Film Central and yourself, Maya, I wanted to have you on board so that people are aware what you can do with the documentaries, because film is a form where we really go through different emotional experiences, and we need to prepare children, especially young ones, for such an experience. And that's why all of you having different approaches and working quite professionally understand why we all need to work together when introducing film education. Sorry, Irena, we kind of jumped into your...
No. I like to, in our school, and the way we do things is to not to divide. If you can teach one thing and connect with science, with art, we do it. So it is a very natural way of learning, and children are like that. So it's very easy for me to teach like that, and it's very easy for them to to get what they need. So I was really very happy that I found my place under the sun, and that I could be a teacher, what I really wanted to be all my life.
Thank you. Cathrine, do you also introduce in the cultural Schoolbag, you said over 3,000 of artists involved, but how do you approach in terms of the education? Do you also have some psychologists, psychiatrists, and pedagogues that are experienced as well? Or were you facing any challenges when introducing this program in Norway? You mentioned that there were some challenges at the local level, but overall you made it, and you got to this huge financing, which is great. But maybe you can share some more with us.
Yeah, well, what I could share with you is that the cultural Schoolbag, it's not a replacement for the regular arts and crafts lessons in school education. So it kind of adds on to what's already in schools. For instance, the school's teacher's role is to be there with the students experiencing the arts. It could be like being an audience, but it could also be participating in kind of workshops or in discussions with the artist. And the teacher's role is to help with the interpretation and the evaluation of the art experience, and help link the experience to the general subject-specific goals of the curriculum. So the art itself should not be of a pedagogical nature. The art is the art, whatever it is. But it's not. Still, it could be related to the curriculum and to any subject in school, or many subjects in school. It's relevant. So the teacher's role is to find that relevance. Whereas the producers and presenters from the cultural Schoolbag is also helpful with all the information and links and adding on information that could help the teacher to make it relevant as well. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
because how shall I say? Sometimes experiencing watching a film can be quite an experience for a child, and sometimes the children need to be prepared what they are watching or experiencing. And I noticed that in some initiatives we are missing some professionals from different fields in terms of the psychology, because sometimes emotions of fear, anger, sadness and happiness, especially for the youngsters, they need to be prepared for experiencing something that, because usually how it's done, I'm saying at the general level, it's you watch a film and then afterwards you have a discussion, which is okay for a bit older child, but for those who are still at the beginning of their personal growth and the development, in my personal opinion, it needs to be a proper preparation for this emotional experience. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to check how do you combine those two in a way. So it's both ways of a teacher and the professional artists working together.
And as you mentioned, it's very important being prepared for whatever you are going to experience. And of course, sometimes there will be like maybe a film with difficult content. And and some films we do actually make contact with the health personnel in schools, mm-hmm. or make preparations if the content is of that kind of nature that you need to have a special talk with someone afterwards or in front of the film to make it a secure space. It's a secure space. It should be a secure space.
Yeah. Before I go on with the questions, thank you. What do you think, both of you, Jasmin and Maya, when it comes to combining therapy, this film experience, is emotional experience, Maya already mentioned, but Jasmin, what is your opinion about it? Because art therapy in general, it's even less less known than Montessori. And I in Croatia personally, maybe Irena can back me up, I'm not aware of that it exists. Maybe in Germany and Norway, yes, but we are still a bit backwards when it comes in introducing such type of therapy.
Yeah, I mean, I think art therapy is quite a confusing term because there's art psychotherapy, there's art therapy, and sometimes art psychotherapists call themselves art therapists because it sounds a bit more humane. And also, if you're working in psychiatric wards, you don't want to say psychotherapist because they'll probably turn up to these sessions. I'm just thinking, and to talk about emotions is really important, and I think it's really good to ask kids direct questions sometimes, like, what did you experience? Or how do you feel? What made you feel like that? Or something that they can connect with their experiences and maybe share with the group. Art therapy is confidential space, so it kind of takes time to create that space where client eventually will trust you to open up. So I think in these settings where there's lots of kids, when it's not space confidential, it's maybe harder for people to open up and maybe talk about themselves. But then at the same time, we don't want to live in denial and we want to open up those difficult experiences and feelings. And I think through talking about that by watching film or making art, that's the way to go. And it doesn't need to be negative experience. It could be quite good to talk about separation and what children fears, what makes them scared, and things like that. Okay. I hope I kind of managed to answer that. I just want to say that Montessori school sounds really, really good. I wish that many children can afford schools like that. And it's kind of sad because, for example, in the UK, only if you do have a bit of money, you would be able to send kids to those kind of schools that are more alternative. And there's focus on a child more. And I'm also wondering about that kind of school, about the inclusion, and if you include kids with disabilities or on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
My first work in Montessori school, I was assistant in a class to one boy with Down syndrome. So we have children with Asperger syndrome, with cerebral paralyzing. No? I didn't say it correctly, but last few years, children come with a lot of difficulties in graphomotorics and writing and with speech.
Right.
So with modern times, we have some modern problems. And yes, what you said, it would be really nice that most of schools are like that. And in Croatia, our school is considered special and alternative, and maybe sometimes in a bad way. Oh, you special kids from that school. But it's really not like that. And it would be great that ministry and cities would support us in a way that they give money support. So we are totally a private school, and parents need to pay a school fee. 2009, I think we were out from this law article, something that we were given grants. So I think that this different approaches are sometimes not very welcome, because a lot of people don't understand, and when they don't understand, they fear it. So it's I don't know. I don't consider it any special or any alternative. I think it's the natural way and the way it should be. And there are many schools in villages or small towns in Croatia who are working like Montessori schools, but because they do their job from heart. So it's you don't have to call it Montessori or any kind. Just respect the child and respect who he is as a human being, and that's it. That should be the point. Yeah.
We are running out of time, so this is how we're going to do it. There was a question for Cathrine, and maybe Cathrine, you can ask it. You can answer it in written. It was regarding how do you include film education with arts education? Is it optional or mandatory for this cultural Schoolbag? And so if you can do it after the panel. And Boris was also asking the question where we can have a catalog of all these recommendations of films, and what I already mentioned yesterday and today immediately at the beginning, that we need one source providing all the links to different studies, who is doing what, and that what I'm going to do in collaboration with the colleagues, I will write a report about this conference so that it can be easily updated, and then I'm going to see with the European Commission to have somehow access to all those links and data provided. So before we really finalize the panel, I ask everyone for the patience, but it's a bit different environment doing everything online, because we do not have time to meet in the corridors or coffee breaks. So for this reason, we are a bit prolonging a panel. And I'm sure that you will also have different questions, and please do come back also in the chat room. I will be aware of that. And for somehow the final wording, I would like to make a closure with Maya. And Cathrine, if you would like to add something. So Maya already touched the issue of the emotional experience in documentaries, and it's really wonderful to have you on board working with documentaries. But what is your say when it comes to film education and children?
I think it's very, very important to have the film education, and I mean, I told it everything before, so I'm happy to have this audience here and to broadcast it to everywhere. But you also asked about therapy and film and Montessori and film, and I think the documentary film works with all of these things, because in therapy it's not only just watching films, it's also making films, especially documentary films, where you concentrate on someone else and where you have to find artistic pictures and see that it's not only interview, because interview is not film, so you have to find a visual approach to this. And so I think film is the key, because as I said in the beginning, it's all running image. So we need film, and we need to understand film and to be active in film. So it's watching films, understanding films, reading films, making films with the young people. And then we're going to change something, because this is really important.
And usually, documentaries are used as saying something from the inside, our personal stories. Most of the documentaries are like that, and we can easily connect to. So thank you. And Cathrine, you are free either to have a closure or to answer the question from the audience. So basically it was asking you whether it's mandatory
The cultural the program it's programmed locally, and the program it's partly mandatory and partly free of choice. Especially when you go into upper secondary school, there are more choices for the students. So, but a huge part of the program it's actually mandatory.
Okay, thank you. So, dear ladies, we came to an end. So I give you a big applause, silent one, but from the heart. Hope that you stay for the rest of the day. And yes, I encourage you to continue in what you are doing, because you are really true inspiration to all of us. Thank you.